Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Miami. This is season 5, episodes 2 and 3. So we're going to be talking about 2 episodes in this review. You already know I'm trying to catch up because I'm behind. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So I was going to do a spicy corner, but there is so much going on with Lenny and Lisa and this divorce and the mistress. It's so much going on that I would probably have to do like a dedicated video where I just read all the articles about Lenny and Lisa. I don't know if I really have time to do that, but when I tell you there's so much, I just went on page 6. There was an article where the girlfriend / mistress is saying that Lisa had a burner account and she like admitted that she had it. Then I just was about to read an article about how supposedly the girlfriend was trying to get a restraining order against Lisa, but it fell through, and Lisa was calling her a sore loser. Then there's another article on page 6 about Lenny confirming that they do have a mortgage on their home. There's also another article about Lenny saying that Lisa was also out here having her own little, side quest. Then when I tell y'all, there's like articles on top of articles on page 6 about Lenny and Lisa. It's wild. It's wild. And I don't even think I got time to even go over them. But let's get into this review. All right, y'all. So I think I'm just going to talk about the things that stood out to me and not like scene by scene like I normally do, because I feel like if I do that, we going to be here for an hour. And I don't think nobody wants that. So let's get into it. So the episode opens up and we see Juliana on Julia's farm. Honestly, y'all, if I'm being all the way 100, Juliana can go. Like, Julia's not giving me anything and neither is Adriana. Like, it's just kind of like, y'all are here. Y'all are just here. Like, y'all aren't really giving me... Whew, my bad, y'all. Y'all aren't really giving me anything. They're on the farm. I think Julia having a farm is cool, but it also is kind of weird to me that the farm just seems barren and devoid of any life, even though there is massive amounts of farm animals there. Like, as someone who's been on relatively different farms, like where I've been on corporate farms, I've also been on family farms, and normally each farm has its own vibe, but it still feels like people are there. And it's just kind of weird that she's just out there by herself working. And I guess it might be different to me because when I've been to family farms, it's actual like relatives out there working. And maybe they have contracted people out in the community. When it's like corporate farms, it's like people work there, but there's still like an atmosphere there. And it just seems like quiet, which is weird because farms are normally loud. But we find out that it seems like Martina and Julia are like kind of becoming like 2 ships passing in the night because the girls are going. If you remember last season, I think her oldest daughter went to go to school in like Paris with her father. And I think the other girl is like in college, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember one of the daughters went to go stay with her father in overseas. So she's just kind of like, she's dealing with empty nest syndrome while they're in the car, I guess, driving back to where Martina and Julia live, because we find out that the farm is like an hour away. They were just, Julia and Adriana are in the car talking about how, I guess, Martina doesn't like the fact that Julia wakes up in the morning, goes to the farm, and when she comes back, it's like nighttime. I guess she's missing being around her. But I also feel like Julia's probably feeling some type of way being in the house by herself. But I feel like if Martina is retired, shouldn't she be at the house with you? I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. I feel, and maybe it's because I have a lot of friends, and even my parents included, that are like somewhat retired but still working, and when they want to do things together, they find time to do things together. So I guess in my mind, I'm like, if y'all wanted to do things together, y'all have the money to do things together, so why aren't you doing those things? Like, if you compare Nicole and Anthony's relationship, it's like Nicole and Anthony both seem, especially Nicole, seems to have a vigorous job, because I know in one of the episodes she was having a 24-hour work day. So it's kind of like, if she is able to make time for her husband and her children, I feel like y'all could do the same thing. It's kind of like, if you want to, you'll do it. That's what I'm realizing as I've gotten older, is that if people want to be in your life, they'll actually put in the work to do it. So it seems like some of the people don't want to be together. That's what it sounds like to be. We then see like two conversations happen at the same time. We see Kiki and Larsa on like a dinner date together or a lunch date together. Then we see Alexia, Gertie, and Lisa together, and they're talking about the whole issue that happened at Larsa's new beginnings party. This whole conversation is weird to me, and it's because Lisa was pissing me off, because Lisa feels like Larsa's being dirty. I let my guard down, but it's like, Lisa, what you said was mean. So why did you not think the reaction that you got from her was not going to be also mean? Like, you basically said that lady lives in a place where it's nothing but pimps, hoes, and prostitutes, basically labeling her as either a pimp, a hoe, or a prostitute. Why did you, and last season she had an issue with all y'all trying to like make it seem like she was out here doing I guess sex work, which technically that's what Larsa does. Like, you selling any type of like, services in a sexual manner is that, but I'm gonna let her have it, because I'm gonna let her have it. So and she didn't like that connotation being put on her. So it's like, for you, Lisa, to be her friend, it's weird. It's weird to me, because it's like Lisa threw that out as a jab in the beginning. She threw that out when she was with Kiki and Marisol at Marisol's house on purpose, because she didn't like the fact that Larsa wasn't speaking to her, or was kind of giving her the cold shoulder and ghosting her. And then she didn't expect Larsa to come back at her just as hard. But I was like, girl, you knew what you were doing. That's why I don't feel any type of way about Lisa. But I also thought it was weird that Alexia was like, yeah, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. We know good and well if somebody would have compared where Alexia lives to this and made the same joke or the same comment that Lisa said about where Alexia lived, Alexia would have went off. So this whole like, girl, because Alexia would have been like, I'm Cuban, we don't do that. Like, that's a horrible accent. But we know Alexia would have went off. And then the same thing, Kiki, I guess Lisa unfollowed Kiki because, but the thing is, like, Kiki deserved that, in my opinion, because it's like, girl, you shouldn't have said nothing. You said you weren't going to say anything. And the fact that you didn't hold true to that, then you should have been ready for the person to have an issue with you. So I don't even feel bad for Kiki. Honestly, I don't feel that bad for Larsa, but I understand why Larsa said what she said. So I'm not that mad at her. We then see Nicole. Before we get to Nicole, we find that like we have a moment between Alexia and Gertie, and honestly, Alexia doesn't really care about Gertie. Like, if we're gonna be all the way with 100, Alexia does not. I don't think Alexia is vibing with Gertie, because even when Gertie gave flowers to Alexia for her like reception party that they had on the boat, she was very like, okay, even with the nice card that Gertie gave, it's giving very much she's very indifferent towards Gertie. Like, she's cool with Gertie, but she don't really care that much about what Gertie has to say, or she doesn't really value what Gertie has to say. Gertie brings up about how she didn't like how Alexia compared her charity event to Marisol's, bachelorette party at the Versace mansion, which is true. It was wrong. Alexia kind of like apologized in a roundabout way, but it really wasn't an apology if you don't give it directly. So we then see Nicole and her mom, the nanny, and their son Grayson sit down in the restaurant, and they talk about her father. And we find out that the mom and the dad are actually friends, which is weird. And then I don't like how everyone's trying to force Nicole to like accept her father. And here's the thing. You can accept somebody and their behavior and still not be cool with them. And I don't think people around her understand that, where they're expecting her to accept him and still allow him to be a part of her life. And that's weird to me, because it's like, he's not putting forth any effort. So why does she have to go all the way out her way to be there for a grown man who seems to be a drunk alcoholic asshole? So it's like, she shouldn't have to do all of that. In my opinion, she should just be able to extend the olive branch. If he don't want to take it, then move on with her life. But I did understand from her mom's point of view, where her mom was like, you're like your dad, like you're very blunt, and you can be very mean, and you want perfection from everyone. And she's like, well, I want perfection because I want it from myself, but you can't put that lens on other people, because you shouldn't even put that lens on yourself, Nicole, because people aren't perfect. People are gonna mess up. Like I bet you she probably doesn't even have that lens for her son, because Nicole is probably smart enough to understand that he's a child and he's not going to be perfect. But I did think it was kind of crazy that her mom was like, "You're mean." And like I've gone home crying in the car, and it's weird because it's like Nicole probably does have traits of her father that if she went to therapy, she probably could get a hold of. Because if your mom is someone who's experienced both of y'all can say, no, you're just like your daddy, girl, and you don't really like your daddy, you might want to get a hold on to that. But I do want people to stop trying to tell Nicole to like accept her dad. She can accept who her dad is, but still not be cool with him. I don't understand why y'all don't get that. We then see Gertie do a photo shoot for, I think it was Venture magazine. She looked really pretty. Larsa showed up. I didn't like the fact that Gertie was trying to police how Larsa responded to Lisa, when I'm like, why are y'all mad at her reaction and not like, y'all are starting with the reaction and not the before. Like I tell y'all all the time, you can't gauge how people are going to react to things. You can't dictate how they're going to react to things. You could definitely have an opinion. And like I said, everyone can be cool with being like, yeah, I think Larsa's taking it too far, or Larsa goes on the deep end. But Larsa is well within her right to react to something if she's offended by it. You doing what you did to offend her is your problem, not hers. Like, and my thing is like, everyone's trying to act like Larsa shouldn't be offended or she shouldn't have an issue, when it's like Lisa knew what she was doing. Lisa ain't stupid. I mean, she's not stupid in some regards, but she knew what she was doing by making that comment. That's why she immediately felt bad after she made it, and she kind of was like, ooh, I'm gonna get in trouble for that. So she knew what she was doing. So now everybody is getting ready to go to Alexia and Todd's party on the boat that we saw last season. And they're going to, like, I guess, ship off at 8 o'clock. And it's just a reception. They kept calling it a wedding when it's like, it's not a wedding because they didn't exchange vows. They just had a reception. I didn't like Alexia's gloves. I hated them. Why did you have on gloves? Alexia was showing her age with them gloves. She looked pretty. Todd looked handsome. We got to see Peter and his girlfriend. I was actually surprised that Peter brung her, because that's the girl I knew when I saw her, and they mentioned it in episode 3 that was the girl that he got into the DV situation with. And I'm like, sis, what is this? What is this? Basically, it gave very much like, y'all are toxic together. It very much gave that. But we see all the ladies came to Alexia's event. Everyone was dressed up. We see Lisa. We see that Lisa and Larsa have a sit down. And pretty much Lisa has a mortgage. Like when Larsa said, girl, it's public knowledge, I said, yeah, a mortgage is public knowledge. And then I will give Lisa a point where she was like, I don't believe everything online. They say online that you ruined somebody's, you broke up a marriage. And Larsa kind of paused. And then Larsa said, I'm not about to sit here and argue with you. Your stuff is public knowledge. And she was like, you're being vindictive and mean. And I'm looking at Lisa like, why are you doing all of this? Like, Lisa legit was like a dog with a bone. Like, she would not let go. And I was just like, Lisa, it's not that deep, and you wouldn't be having this situation if you didn't start with her. So then all of a sudden you see Lisa walking around the party like talking about she needs to walk the plank. And I was like, Lisa, it's not hitting the way you think it's hitting, but sis, calm down. And everyone's telling Lisa, and including Larsa, like, don't do this at Alexia's event. Like, everybody chill out, calm down. It's not that serious. But I'm really looking at Lisa like, girl, do you just not know you have a mortgage? And why is having a mortgage such a bad thing? Like, you own your house if you have a mortgage because you're paying on it, and then eventually once it's paid off, that is your house that you like legit own, that you can give it to your kids. Like, it was weird. Like, I still don't understand why she was so angry. Like, and then Gertie even said, because they had to take Lisa to the bathroom, that like there has to be more going on Then this. Then you see Lisa on the boat trying to talk to Lenny. Lenny saying we don't have a mortgage, just for them in episode 3 to say, yes, we have a mortgage, but it has a zero balance. It was just like, this is stupid. This is a stupid conversation. And I just didn't understand why Lisa got so angry, because I'm like, you having a mortgage doesn't mean you're broke. Then she tried to conflate the issue by saying that her having Larsa was basically saying about her having a mortgage, it meant that Lisa didn't own the lifestyle that she had and that she was living above her means. And I was like, I guess that's what rich people think when people say you have a mortgage. I was like, sis, I don't know. I was like, you're tripping. You are tripping. And everybody kept saying, looking at Lisa like she was crazy. But at least Gertie and her are, like, I guess, real friends, because Gertie could really see that there was something more going on. Because I was like, this situation isn't that serious. Because her calling Lenny wasn't that deep. And I was just like, girl, calm down. And that's where episode 2 ended. So let's go to episode 3. All right, y'all. So episode 3, we're still on Alexia and Todd's, like, the boat. They're still doing their reception. They shot off like a whole bunch of fireworks. If you don't know, I love me a good fireworks show. And we see Lisa, it's Lisa, Marisol, Nicole, and I think Julia was there. And they were down in the basement where they were of the boat, where they were like not selling, but they were starting to do the food service part where everyone could eat and, like, you know, drink and eat at the same time. And Lisa was basically saying, like, I let my guard down with Larsa, but not again. I'm not going to let somebody hurt me. So then Larsa walks in, I think with Kiki, and Lisa immediately was like, well, Larsa, we're talking about you. And she was like, what you did was really messed up. And Larsa was like, I'm not beefing with you. Like, I'm not arguing with you right at someone's event. Like, Larsa was really not trying to have an argument with Lisa. But Lisa kept going off. And then Marisol, being a good friend, Marisol had to be like, sis, I'd be a dick if I let y'all argue at my friend's party. Like, y'all, this is her party. Let her have her moment. You then see Nicole get in, because I guess the guests were starting to pile in to, like, you know, start to serve themselves some food. And she was like, yo, we not doing this. Like, Nicole was very much, y'all not about to embarrass me in front of these people. Like, chill out. Like, chill out. So Lisa and Larsa go upstairs and they sit down again. They have a conversation, and she's still like yelling, like still yelling. Like, no, I think they were still in the basement, but like she's still arguing. And Larsa's like, Lisa, I don't want to have an issue with her. And then Larsa's like, Lisa's like, don't talk about my family. Don't come for my family. And everyone's like, Lisa, because she was so angry. And I'm looking at Lisa like, girl, I see. They weren't doing it for me, because I would have, like, legit, if I was Lisa's friend, I'd have put Lisa to the side and say, you're tripping. Like, you're tripping. Like, you said something out of pocket about Larsa by basically saying that she lives in a house where the pimps and hoes live, basically calling her that, and she came back at you saying you have a mortgage. Now, sis, you might not have a mortgage, and even if you do, it's not that deep. Let it go. But Lisa was making herself look crazy. She made herself look crazy. They then all sit down and they end up, like, resolving it and hashing it out and toasting, because Larsa was the main one that didn't want to fight. And the whole thing is like, yeah, I think Larsa still did feel some type of way that Lisa didn't have her back at the reunion. But I feel like Lisa made it worse, because Lisa was dragging this whole situation out. And you could tell that she was just doing it for no reason other than there's issues at home. This whole entire, like, 2 episodes, it very much felt like Lisa is like, knows what's going on. Like, she knows her husband's cheating, and she's just trying to save face, and she's hoping that if she does all these things or reminds him of what his family is or who his family is, that he'll come back. And it's like, that man been gone for a couple of years, and you should have been gone too, sis. So they're on the boat. And then, like, fireworks, they all toast. They all said they're going to be cool. They dance the night away. It's the next day, and we see that Julia is going to start modeling again, trying to, like, you know, figure out what to do now that her children aren't at the house anymore. So Kiki hooked her up with her agent. We then see Marisol and Alexia sit down, and they're talking about Peter, and Peter bringing that girl that he got into the DV situation with. And what Alexia is saying that happened is that the girl was really drunk. She was, like, you know, white girl wasted, and she wanted to, like, drive home. And Peter basically was like, no, you can't drive home. Like, call your mom so she could come get you. Then she freaked out, and I guess they're alleging that, like, she, like, called on Peter saying that he hit her or whatever. And then Alexia is basically saying that Peter called her and he was like, and she was there and saw everything, saw him get arrested and stuff. And she's just having a hard time like letting this situation go because now they're all in each other's good graces and they're all back in lovey-dovey mode. And I just was like, that sounds like a toxic mess. And Alexia need to cut the cord. Because then we have a scene where Alexia is having like lunch with Peter. And Peter's basically saying that like all my girlfriends say that you're a lot to deal with. And then Alexia is like, okay, so I'm the mom and I take the brunt of everything. Like your father's perfect, your girlfriends are perfect, everybody's perfect except me. And what it really seems like is Alexia has always been trying to overcompensate for all the bad things that has happened, for Peter not having a stable father, then and like them leaving, her getting with Herman, and then him passing away, as well as her youngest son getting hurt in the accident, and them having to deal with him now being somebody that is disabled, and they weren't prepared for that because he wasn't like that before his injury. So it's like she's always overcompensating, but with her overcompensation, you can tell that there's like a codependency that's there between her and Peter that is very toxic, and she legit needs to cut the cord and allow him to fall on his face. But I guess she feels like she's already done that with him, and she's just afraid that like if she lets him fall on his face, he probably not gonna come back, or he might be 6 feet under. Because Peter gives very much vibes that like if I don't have my mom around, I might start doing recreational substances of the white powder. That's what he gives. But he do need to break up with that girl, and that girl needs to break up with him. Like, that sounds like a toxic mess right there. We then see that they're going to have like a beach day. We also find that Larsa is going to have like a puppy birthday party for her dogs and invite all the ladies. So they're on the beach. They're all sitting down. Adriana talks about her date. So she brought date number 2 from last season to Alexia's reception. Y'all remember Jacob, who looked like a knocked off version of Lenny Kravitz, like the off-brand version of Lenny Kravitz, popped up at like the reunion, and we were all like, why is Jacob here? Why did you bring a +1 to a +1 event? Like, you were already a +1 because you're a friend of the show and you bring your own +1? Ew. So Jacob's there. We find out that Jacob turned into a mess. Basically was going off on Adriana. I guess he felt used, started saying very disparaging things online about her. So she decided to fall back on the other guy that was her second choice that came to her art gallery, who's a doctor and all of that stuff. But Alexia lets the girls know that like word on the curve is he married. And Adriana didn't like that because Adriana was like, I know if a man is married or not. And Alexia's like, yeah, girl, but word on the curve is he's heavily married. So you might want to check that out. That's probably going to cause issues between Adriana and Alexia because Adriana felt some type of way because she was like, you could have told me this privately, but why'd you do that in front of everybody? Yeah, she just felt some type of way. They're all at the beach. And then I think that was the it of the beach party. They were all just talking about, Lisa came into question. The Lisa and Larsa situation came into question. And you had Gertie and Nicole taking up for Lisa. But I was like, to me, they look dumb because I'm like, y'all know for a fact if Lisa were to say something disparaging about where y'all lived, y'all would have said some slick stuff to her too. And what it sounds like, and what Alexia even say, it sounds like Lisa don't even know what's going on. Lisa's saying that she pay her bills and she's ahead of the books, but Alexia, being that she was with Herman, was like, men are very guarded about their money. So she was just like, I don't believe that Lisa knows what's going on. I don't even believe that Lisa knows that there is a mortgage and that it is public record. And nothing's wrong with her having a mortgage, but it seems like she don't know what's going on. That's what it seems. We then have the last scene of the night where we're at Lisa and Lenny's home. They have a private chef there. We see a semi-sweet moment where their son made pizza and decided, Lenny's on a diet, but he ate some of the little boy's pizza. They kiss him goodnight, and Lenny and Lisa are trying to have like a candlelight dinner by skylight. It turned into a mess because Lisa is still trying to prove the point that like her life is better than ever and that Larsa's just jealous and basically hating on her life. But then she finds out that they do have a mortgage. Lenny says that they have a mortgage, but there's a 0-0 balance. He tries to explain it to Lisa, but Lisa pretty much, you could tell like things weren't clicking, but they were kind of clicking. So she felt stupid when she realized that they do have a mortgage. And it was just like, you could tell that Lenny was annoyed by her. And I felt bad for him in that scene because he kind of smirked when Lisa was like, I know I couldn't imagine what it would be like to get a divorce now, but like, we don't have to worry about that. And he kind of was like, girl. It was kind of like, yeah, girl, it's coming. It's coming. So then we see like the nanny come out, like one of the nannies comes out, and we find out that one of the housekeepers fell, and it seems like she might have like sprained or bruised her wrist. You got Lisa running around the house basically like, oh, we need to call 911. Lenny be yelling at Lisa like she's a child because Lisa wanted to call 911 and Lenny was like, you don't call 911 for like that. You're abusing the system. We're going to get her an Uber. We're going to put ice on her wrist and we're going to send her to the hospital, which he wasn't wrong. Like in that situation, you don't call 911 because that is wasting, like that's a bill you got to pay, as well as that is abusing the system in the sense. Like that's not a serious situation, but he could have handled that better. I just think Lenny has resentment towards Lisa because he should have left when he wanted to leave. My thing about like here's the thing. When it came out that Lenny was cheating on, or Lenny cheated on Lisa with Morgan from the Bad Girls Club, I think that was season 5. That was with Kat, Ashley, and Leah. Kat, Ashley, Leah, and the girl, and who was the other girl? Brandy. Kat, Ashley, Leah, and Brandy. And I remember Perez Hilton, he hosted the reunion. When I found out that he cheated on Lisa with her, I was like, oh, Lenny has a type. Because if you're not a girl that, if you're not one of the girls that kept up with Bad Girls Club T, even like, I still keep up with it now, but like not as much as I used to when I like used to be in that life. Because that was a lifestyle, okay? Bad Girls Club was a lifestyle. Shout out to Mona Simone. Shout out to her at A Connection TV. What's up, Wesley? But that was a moment. But if you knew Morgan, everyone knew Morgan was like allegedly a high-end escort. That was the tea that they had been peddling on the BGC blog pages, that allegedly Morgan was one of the high-end girlies. And it was like, if you was with her, you was shelling out money. And she had local clients, very faithful clients. So when I found out that's who he was messing with, and when Lisa was trying to say it was an emotional affair, I said, girl, it was more than that. It was more than that. And then to see who the girl he's with now, she looks like Morgan. I said, ooh, not looks exactly like Morgan, but they look like they run in the same crowds. And I said, oh, Lenny has a type. It's just that Lisa is in for a rude awakening, and that's kind of what happens when you give someone so much power in a relationship and you don't know what's going on, because you should know how to pay for your stuff. That has always boggled my mind. When Shannon broke up with her husband, when her and her husband got a divorce, and she didn't even know that she had to pay for water or how to pay a light bill, I was like, you never did that before? You have always been with him? Or someone always done that for you? And even if someone has done that for you, paid for your bills, you should still know how to do it. What's the login to the account? How much it is? So just in case something happens, you're prepared. I don't know if that's the Capricorn in me. You got to have a plan on top of another plan on top of another plan, then add another plan at the bottom just in case the top one don't make sense. I was just and it seemed like Lisa ain't had no plan. No plan. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below. Deuces.